Well, hello again, y'all. And it is time to breathe again on the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. I hope everybody is doing all right. I am Charles, and I'm your host for this webcast today. So, couple of housekeeping things before we get started. Number one, my boy, Patrick Brackett. He was all about being on the webcast with me when we normally do it on Tuesday night. But he had some internet problems. So I guess there was an internet outage where he's at. And just in case you guys don't know, he's down in Florida. I'm here in Texas. And his internet, along with, I guess, his neighborhood's internet, they had an outage. So we weren't able to get together on the webcast, but he will have a shorty for you coming up later on in the week. He promised me he would. So hopefully he'll come through, and I know he will. So look forward to a shorty coming for the week from him. Also, there's been a lot of stuff, as everybody knows, going on in our world, real life activities, real life things that has basically changed a lot of the ways we live normally. And of course, you guys know I'm talking about the coronavirus or COVID-19, as I guess the technical term is. It, it has changed a lot of stuff. And for the sports world, it has made it to where there is no live sports really to talk about. Everything is shut down. NBA action shut down. Major League Soccer action shut down. NHL action shut down. Major League Baseball has shut down spring training, and we don't know when that season's going to start, and if it starts at all with the way things are going. So for us in the sports world, it has been really, really difficult, really, really tough to talk about anything, but leave it up to the NFL to come through in the clutch. So I'm glad the NFL has been able to provide a little bit of a reprieve, a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a release from the just hard news and the struggle and the sloth we've been going through with this news cycle and what's going on with the coronavirus in the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so. So let's get to some of that NFL news. And of course, a lot of it has to do with free agency. But there was also a deal, a new collective bargaining agreement that was agreed to by the players. So I guess starting maybe next year or year after, expect to see a 17th regular season game, and I guess there will be more money that will go into the players' hands. Now, one thing we have to remember about that deal and the demographics of the players in the National Football League. Not everybody in the league is JJ Watt or Richard Sherman or Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. And I name those guys because they're the ones who are making huge, huge money in terms of their contracts and their annual value of the contracts. The majority of the players are what you would call, I, I like to call them the middle class of the NFL. And granted, a middle class player, quote unquote, a middle class player in the NFL is making six figures, maybe seven figures. So that is definitely figuratively speaking. But that is the majority of your players in the league. They are making six figures. So if they can get a little bit more money in their pockets, they are probably going to do that. But the thing is, if that is the case, then I don't want to hear anything else about player safety. I don't want to hear anything else about our bodies being worn down during the course of the season. If you are going to agree to the first deal the owners threw out there, the owners basically said, "Hey, this is what we have. We want a 17th game. We want to add a couple of extra teams to the playoffs, one per conference or one more per conference. And this is what we want. Do you agree to it or not?" And the players basically agreed to it. So, regardless of which side you're on, which side you're taking, it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, they are about money. When the owners talk about safety is the number one priority, or the safety of the players is the number one priority, that's a lie. No, they're not. They're about making money. For the players, when they come out and they say, "Oh, our bodies get worn down during the course of a season. I don't know if we want to add any more games." But you signed the first deal that showed up on your desk, or you agreed to the first deal that showed up to your desk. Yeah, right. Shut up. You're not worried about your safety either. You're about getting paid. So let's just all agree, everybody's about getting paid. Everybody wants to make as much money as possible. Just be transparent about it. If that's what you want, it's okay, because we all at some point want to get paid. We all at some point want to make as much money as we can. So why not just admit that and go about your business? I always like to go to Indomitian Sue for this example. Remember, Indomitian Sue played for the Detroit Lions for I guess it was about 6, 7 years. I'm not for sure on that. Actually, probably about 6 years. And he became a free agent and signed a deal with the Miami Dolphins. If I remember right, I think it was around 6 years for 114 million, which averages out to be around 19 million per year. And they asked him, "Why did you?" Or the media asked him, "Why did you want to go to the Dolphins?" Well, he wanted to go to the Dolphins because he wanted to get paid, and they were pretty much offering him the most money, so he joined the Dolphins. Nobody messed with Sue after that because he admitted he just wanted to get paid. There is nothing wrong with admitting you want to get paid. You want to make money, and as much money as you can. And especially if you're an NFL player who have, I mean, in average, the shelf life of a career is very, very short. You're talking 3 or 4 years for the average NFL player. So if you can make as much money as you can, I get it. We all understand it. Just admit as much and stop trying to hide behind this whole, "Oh, we're worried about our health," and the owners, "Oh, we're worried about the safety." No, you're not. You're worried about money. You're worried about making as much money as possible. Admit that, move on, and we will be okay with that. It's all right because we all see it. It's not like we're blind to what's going on here. Trying to get paid. It's okay. So that's what we have with the deal. And either side, I don't want to hear about anything else. Want to get paid? That's it. Now, let's get to some of this free agency news. And I guess we will start with Tom Brady. Apparently, he's going to sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I guess there isn't an official deal yet, but he said on his Instagram page on Tuesday he is leaving the New England Patriots. So, as you know, Patrick and I, we didn't see this coming. We did not think he would leave the New England Patriots. And honestly, we still, okay, I'll let Patrick address his side of it. But for me, I don't understand why he wasn't coming back to the Patriots. I mean, I guess if you want to talk about wanting to make your own mark, wanting to go in a different direction, maybe the marriage between him and Bill Belichick, the head coach, just finally soured and hit a point to where it just wasn't going to be fixed. And maybe it was money because I guess Tom Brady wanted to get paid, not like he's hurting for money. I think he's made a good amount in his career, and then you have the endorsements, and he's also married to a Brazilian supermodel wife who is making more money than he is. But whatever, I guess he wanted to get paid what he feels he's worth, which I understand. I get that. But just looking at it from a football standpoint, from a schematic standpoint, none of these teams, and say he does end up signing with Tampa Bay, which is looking like the most likely scenario. If he signs with Tampa Bay, is that better than what he had in New England? Is he going to be in a position to win a title in Tampa Bay? I don't see it. I don't think so. I think Tampa Bay needs a whole bunch of stuff. Now, we know in the NFL, at any given point, a team can go from being 7-9 or 8-8 to winning a Super Bowl potentially. We saw it with the Philadelphia Eagles a couple of years ago. to where I think they were 7-9 the year before, and then they won the Super Bowl in the 2017 season. So it is possible, but the NFC is loaded. The NFC is going to be really tough to navigate through. And look, this is going to sound a little weird. I'm probably going to get crushed for what I'm going to say here, but I don't know if Tom Brady is making that much difference on Tampa Bay. I don't know if their offensive line is on par to protect him, because you're going to have a good, solid offensive line to give him some time. If he does not have that time, it's going to be a lot of running for his life and him falling down trying to avoid sacks, because he's not escaping anybody. So it's going to be interesting if he is going to end up signing with Tampa Bay. I know the Chargers are the other team that's being mentioned, but he's not going there, and the Chargers aren't ready to compete anyway. And that, to me, is the main reason why I didn't understand him leaving New England, and why Patrick and I had said we think he will either stay in New England or retire. I guess since he hasn't signed a deal, maybe there is a chance he does just retire. I don't know. But all indication says he's going to sign with Tampa Bay. So if he does sign with Tampa Bay, I would like to see how that works out. I would like to see what exactly he can bring to make Tampa Bay better. And on the other end for New England, although I can't stand New England, I like to see what Bill Belichick is going to do with the team that does not have TB12 as his quarterback. So now you get to see on both sides of the equation, how good is Tom Brady and how good is Bill Belichick. To be honest, I'm going to put money on Belichick, because I think that dude is a genius of a coach. Say what you want about those scandals, but that man is a winner. And they have been winning for 2 decades. Again, at some point, there has to be some skill there. It'll be very interesting to see how both of those situations come out. And hopefully, we'll start on time. Still a lot of time in between now and the start of the season, but we'll see how things materialize with this virus, and if anything gets postponed or pushed back. It'll be interesting. But if we are able to get back to playing sports, those will be some interesting storylines. So that's the news with Tom Brady. And there, of course, was a lot of other happenings or a lot of other happenings in free agency. So let's go to Philip Rivers, who is signing with the Indianapolis Colts. I guess it's a 1 year, $25 million deal. A lot of people like this move to for the Colts to bring Philip Rivers on there. I just don't know how good that's going to be, because when I look at Philip Rivers, and maybe it was because his stay was just starting to stale out in San Diego slash LA, but I just see a man who's just going to continue to just throw games away and launch interceptions every chance he gets. And we all know Philip Rivers is a gunslinger. He's going to throw the ball. He's not afraid to take chances. But those chances just got completely and utterly ridiculous. I mean, they became unnecessary chances. He was throwing in the double coverage, sometimes triple coverage. And of course, he was getting the ball intercepted if he was going to be throwing into coverage as often as he was. So him going to Indianapolis, I think, excuse me, I think Indianapolis has a better offensive line, and they'll be able to protect him a little bit better. But I don't look at that as a significant upgrade. Now, if you're looking at the division they play in, all right, Jacksonville, they're pretty much throwing the season away. They're going into tankathon status, it looks like. And Houston, they might as well be going into tankathon status as far as I'm concerned. More on them in a minute. And then you have Tennessee, who they look like they're trying to load up for another run. So it looks like it's going to be the Colts and the Titans pretty much going at it for that division, because I don't really expect too much from the Texans and Jags. So it'll be interesting. just like a lot of the stuff in the National Football League. It'll be interesting to see how all that materializes. But if you're asking me if I think Philip Rivers is going to make a huge difference on the Colts, I'm just not sure of that. Now he might have a better supporting cast on there, and the Colts, like I think he'll make them a little bit better. But am I looking at the Colts as a Super Bowl contender? Or even as a team that can make a decent run in the playoffs, I'm not so sure about that yet. Now, a lot will be determined as more free agency happens. They did make a good move. The Colts did. They actually picked up DeForest Buckner, who was the defensive lineman for the San Francisco 49ers. That move actually hurts me a little bit, me being a 49er fan. I was hoping we could keep DeForest Buckner, but he's a Colt now. That's definitely a huge upgrade on the defensive line. And they sent the 49ers the 13th overall pick to get the Buckner. So we'll see what happens with the rest of free agency. Of course, you have the NFL draft coming up. And then we could make a judgment on how that Colts roster is going to look. But getting Bill Rivers, I think it is a little bit of an upgrade from Jacoby Brissett, but not much of a one. I could be wrong, but I guess time will tell. Now, I mentioned we were going to get on the Houston Texans. I'm just going to come out and say this right now before I get started with anything. I have no idea at all why Bill O'Brien still has a job as a coach and basically the general manager of the Houston Texans. I have no idea why ownership has not come down and just got rid of him. This dude is the most overrated coach I have seen in recent memory. This man continues to get chance after chance after just making bad decision after bad decision as a head coach. And apparently, those bad decisions have carried over on the GM spot. Gave up all those picks to get Laramie Tunsil on the offensive line last year. He basically sent defensive end Jadavion Clowney to the Seattle Seahawks for a stick of gum and a bag of chips. And now he decided to trade DeAndre Hopkins, the ultra talented wide receiver, to the Arizona Cardinals for a running back in David Johnson, who hasn't done anything since 2016 when he had that good year. He's had one good year in his career. I don't understand what was going on there with with that trade. I don't know what Bill O'Brien was thinking, but he has to go. That man has to go. You have to get him out of there because Houston is never going to do anything with him as the coach. I've been saying that about him. Anybody who has listened to the webcast or has read any of the stories I have written, excuse me, who has heard any of the story or read any of the stories I have written on the blog site about Bill O'Brien, there is no way Houston is going to do anything. And if you're the quarterback, Deshaun Watson, what are you thinking? You have to be thinking, man, I can't do anything, no matter what. I mean, I can only do so much. You got to be thinking they traded away their best weapon. This is a top five receiver in the league, if not top three. DeAndre Hopkins has been putting up ridiculous numbers since he's been in the league, and you trade him. I don't understand what Houston is doing. That makes absolutely, positively no sense at all to me. Ridiculous. Can believe when I saw that move transpire. I actually had to refresh it to make sure that wasn't a mistake. I wanted to think it was some sort of fake news, but apparently that did happen. And again, Bill O'Brien, he needs to go. There's no reason for him to have a job right now as a head coach or a general manager of any football team, let alone the Houston Texans. And if I'm the fans in Houston right now, it might be time to boycott. We might need to get him out of there. But I'm high. I'm pissed. if I'm a fan of the Texans, because that's just showing you're not trying to win at all when you get rid of your number one weapon for basically a guy who is basically a third string running back at this point. I mean, he lost his job to a guy in Kenyon Drake who had just got traded from the Dolphins last year, and we know how bad the Dolphins were. Well, at least at the beginning of the year, we know how bad they were, but they did improve. But I don't know that I don't get the trade. Don't understand it at all. Uh, let's see what else. Oh, the Carolina Panthers are apparently going to sign Teddy Bridgewater if they haven't already. And that basically means the end of the Cam Newton era in Carolina. Now, Cam Newton got on social media and he said he didn't want this. He wanted to work things out and he felt like he was going to be in position to still be the starter there in Carolina. As a matter of fact, I remember hearing an interview from the new head coach there, Matt Rule, saying they were looking forward to working with Cam Newton as he continued to get healthy from his shoulder surgery, foot surgery. I mean, he has a lot. He's had a lot of nicks and things, and bumps and bruises in his career. But to my understanding, he was working his way back, and they were prepared to go into the next upcoming season with him as the starter, with Newton as the starter. But now all of a sudden they've reversed course and they said Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the guy. And now it'll be interesting to see what happens with Cam Newton, where he ends up going. Is he going to go to the Chargers perhaps? Could he end up, I don't know, somewhere else? Maybe, I mean, I guess take your pick, whichever team needs quarterbacks, because there's a lot of teams that probably need quarterbacks. And there's a lot of quarterbacks out there. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he ends up in New England. Who knows? I don't know. But between him and Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, uh, I mean, there's others out there. I'm sure I'm missing them. I mean, I guess Joe Flacco's out there too, since he was let go from the Denver Broncos today. So there's quarterbacks to be found. I guess it just depends on who wants who, and we'll see what happens with the other transactions. But a little shocking how that whole thing happened with the Panthers because I felt like Cam Newton was going to be there, and now all of a sudden he's looking for a job. Oh, Chicago. That's another spot he could end up at. So, uh, interesting times in the quarterback carousel. Oh, I would be definitely, definitely misguided if I didn't mention Dallas Cowboys being where I'm at right now. I have no idea what the Cowboys are doing either. And frankly, I really don't care because I'm not a Cowboys fan. So they could just suck it up for all I care. But they have lost Randall Cobb as a wide receiver, and he went to the Texans. I guess he's supposed to kind of replace DeAndre Hopkins. Good luck with that. But um, he's in Houston. Byron Jones, the cornerback, he went down to Miami to sign a deal, and they franchise tagged the quarterback Dak Prescott, which that's not a surprise. We knew that was going to happen. And then they re-signed Amari Cooper for basically 20 million a year, woefully overpaid for Amari Cooper. He's not that good. Not even close. I don't look at him as a top receiver in the league. I think he's good. I think at times he's very good. But too many times, more often than not, when they're going against elite competition or there's a big game they have to win, he doesn't come through. Amari Cooper goes and sits on the bench because people are being too physical with him. And when he goes against the elite corners, he gets shut down. So paying over 20 million per year or around 20 million per year for a guy who doesn't show up against the best competition is a woeful overpay as far as I'm concerned. So I have no idea what Dallas is doing at all. It looks like they're just still concerned about trying to win the PR battle. That's what Jerry Jones is about. When he comes out there and he says he wants nothing more than to bring another Super Bowl title to the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, I have a tough time believing that because him knowing the Cowboys are the number one most profitable franchise in sports, worth an excess of over $5 billion. I think he's okay. I think he's content with just making money and winning the business war and winning the public relations battles with everybody instead of winning football games. And these moves, I mean, I guess it, I don't understand these moves. I mean, I think you knew you had to pay Dak in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, you go ahead, you get the franchise tag, and if reports are true that they offered him a contract that was going to make him the highest paid player in NFL history, and Dak turned it down, then maybe he should just walk anyway. But again, I think they're kind of trying to just win the PR battle, and don't know what's true. What we do know is Dak was franchise tagged, which I expected, and Patrick expected him to be, and we'll see if he signs the franchise tag. But either way, whether he does or doesn't, they're not doing anything. Even in a bad NFC East, they're not doing anything. The division was bad, yeah, last year, and it was all Dallas's to lose, and they lost it because the Philadelphia Eagles won it. uh, Speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, they actually made a big trade themselves, and they picked up the corner Darius Slay, I think, from the Detroit Lions. So if that goes through, then that is a great move for the Eagles because that directly addresses a weakness they had in on their team, which is the secondary and the cornerback play. So if they're able to solidify that, the Eagles are very dangerous and they can make another run to the Super Bowl. So those are just a few of the moves. If I'm missing any, y'all let me know. I tried to get to as many of them as I can, and there's still a lot of moves that need to be made. So let's just try to monitor everything and continue to use this as a release from all the news that has been going on and that has been coming through with the coronavirus. And speaking of that, remember I did the shorty on Monday saying as this show, we want to be a release. We want to make people laugh. We want to make people uh, just kind of take a break or have this show be a break from what we've been going through in our regular lives. And that continues to be true. Like I said, we're going to talk about whatever we can to make things entertaining. Patrick and I, we don't have any issues talking about anything. And we have plans for doing a live show. We weren't able to get to that this week because schedules kind of uh, didn't mesh up. And honestly, it was me because I didn't do a good job of advertising it and letting you guys know that we're trying to do a live show. So I'll be better about that in the coming days, and hopefully we can get on there on a live show next week. And y'all can check it out. Y'all can leave comments live right there, and we can interact with y'all. So when we do get on that live show, we really look forward to it. Well, that is what I'm breathing on for this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. I hope all y'all are doing all right and being safe out there. Y'all make sure y'all check out the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel and smash that subscribe button. And also keep the likes coming on the Facebook page. You know the deal with the comments. Good, bad, or indifferent. We will listen to them and we will respond to them and we will see them. And we hope you guys continue to keep the love coming and just let us know how we're doing. And I mean, hopefully in the conversation, we can help you guys feel better in that as well with everything going on. So, with that being said, I hope everybody is being safe out there. I hope everybody is doing well, taking care of their families, taking care of their loved ones, and just continue to spend the time with the loved ones and get the chance to talk to the loved ones. Then cherish those conversations because you never know what can happen from day to day. And those conversations should be cherished. So, everybody take care, and we will talk later on this week or early next week. Either way, you'll hear from us. Y'all take care, and we'll see you.